She was already there when the first shot cracked the morning air. Invisible on the battlefield, hidden so completely that even her own unit sometimes forgot she existed. But when the bullets started flying and panic threatened to unravel everything, it was her unseen presence that kept them alive. They never saw her face. They only felt the sudden, impossible calm that followed each perfectly placed shot. By the time the dust settled, the soldiers would whisper the same thought to each other in disbelief. If she had indeed been there, none of us would have made it. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who is listening. Her name was Mara Hale, though few people ever used it. On the radio, she was simply Echo, a call sign chosen because echoes are heard, not seen. And by the time you realize where they came from, the moment has already passed. Mara preferred it that way. Being invisible wasn't a weakness, it was survival. She lay prone on a rocky ridge, overlooking a narrow valley, her body pressed into the earth as if she were part of it. The air was thin and sharp, carrying the scent of dust and scorched metal. Her cheek rested against the rifle stock, steady despite the faint tremor in her hands. Not from fear she had learned to live with fear, but from responsibility. Below her, an entire unit moved cautiously through the valley, unaware of how close death hovered. Shadows shifted between ruined buildings. Somewhere, enemy fighters waited, patient and ruthless. Mara scanned the terrain through her scope, her breathing slow and measured. Each inhale felt loud in her ears. Each exhale was a promise to stay calm. She had trained for moments like this for years. But training never erased the weight of knowing that one mistake, just one, could cost dozens of lives. She thought of her first deployment, when she had still believed she could save everyone. She had been wrong. That lesson had never left her. The radio crackled softly in her ear. Voices layered over one another, tight, controlled, but edged with tension. The unit commander gave quiet instructions, unaware that Mara had already spotted the threat. 3 enemy fighters. Elevated position, clear line of fire. She adjusted her scope by a fraction, the world narrowing to a single point of focus. The wind tugged gently at her sleeve, teasing, testing her patience. Dust drifted across the valley floor, glowing briefly in the sunlight before settling again. Wait, she told herself. She always waited. Rushing led to regret. The first shot came when the lead enemy raised his weapon, a single, precise movement. The recoil kissed her shoulder, familiar and controlled. The man dropped before he understood what had happened. Below, the unit froze. A ripple of murmurs passed through them, confusion, relief, fear. They didn't know where the shot came from. They only knew it had saved them. Mara didn't linger. She shifted her position slightly, melting back into the terrain. Another enemy moved, startled now, searching for the source of danger. He never found it. 2 shots, 2 lives taken, 2 more breaths stolen by the valley air. But the danger wasn't over. Mara's heart tightened as she spotted movement near a cluster of civilians caught between the unit and the enemy's escape route. A family huddled, terrified, frozen by the chaos. A child clung to a woman's leg, eyes wide, reflecting the sky like shattered glass. The enemy saw them too. Mara's finger hovered over the trigger. Shot was possible, clean, necessary. But the angle was wrong. If she fired now, there was a chance, small, but real, that the bullet could pass through and strike someone innocent. The moral weight pressed down on her chest, heavier than her gear, heavier than the rifle. She thought she'd never hesitate again. She was wrong. Time stretched thin. The valley seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind stilled, as if waiting for her decision. Mara swallowed and adjusted her aim, not at the man's chest, but at the ground near his feet. The shot cracked, sharp and sudden. Rock exploded into dust. The enemy stumbled back, disoriented, firing wildly in the wrong direction. The unit reacted instantly. They moved like a tide, disciplined, fast, alive. Orders were shouted, boots pounded the earth. Mara's role shifted from executioner to guardian. She watched every angle, every shadow, her scope dancing across the battlefield. Another enemy appeared, then another. Each time, she was there first. Each time, her shot arrived before danger could fully form. Down below, the civilians were ushered to safety. The child looked back once, confusion etched across his face, as if sensing the unseen hand that had protected him. The firefight ended as suddenly as it had begun. Silence crept back into the valley, thick and almost unreal. Dust settled. Smoke thinned. The unit gathered, checking each other, counting heads. No casualties, not one. A stunned quiet followed. Then murmurs. Then soft, disbelieving laughter. The kind that comes when people realize they're still alive. "Echo saved us," someone said over the radio, voice unsteady with awe. Mara closed her eyes for a brief moment, letting the tension drain from her muscles. Her hands shook now not from fear, but from release. She exhaled slowly, grounding herself in the feel of the earth beneath her. They would never see her. Not today. Maybe not ever. And that was fine. Back at base, the atmosphere was different. The unit moved with a reverence usually reserved for memorials. Stories spread quietly how the shots had come from nowhere, how danger had vanished just before it could strike. Some tried to guess her position, others simply shook their heads. Mara listened from a distance, cleaning her rifle with practiced care. She didn't correct them. Legends didn't need explanations. Later that night, as the camp settled into uneasy rest, the commander stopped near her position. He didn't say much, just nodded once, slow and deliberate. "Because of you," he said quietly, "everyone's going home." Mara felt something warm and fragile settle in her chest. Not pride, not relief, purpose. Because in the end, being invisible had never meant being unimportant. It meant being exactly where you were needed, when it mattered most. Because courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent, steady, and unseen. And the shots that save us are often fired by those we never notice at all. If this story stayed with you, let me know in the comments what moment hit you the hardest. And subscribe to Whispered Words for more cinematic mission stories that honor the unseen heroes, because some legends aren't meant to be seen, only remembered.